What's going on, Red Nation? It's the beginning of the month of August. Rockets Daily, brought to you by FanArch. My name is David Delano. Got some time before the regular season starts, but there's always stuff to talk about with the Rockets. For those of you guys who are into the history segment that we've been doing during this offseason, this is one that you're going to want to talk about. Everybody just looks up everything now, but if you're into trivia and actually like to play sports trivia without looking up the answer before, we're going to talk about one of the most historic seasons in NBA history and one of the top seasons in Rockets franchise history that you may not know about. Also, Big Three coming to town. We're going to look into some of you guys' comments, but first, we're going to talk about Jabari Smith Jr. And if you would go ahead and subscribe to this channel, if you haven't already, if you're an NBA fan, if you're a basketball fan, if you're a Rockets fan, even if you don't particularly like today's show, we'll try to make it better on the next one. But we're going to be locked in with you guys Monday through Friday, maybe more once the season starts and we have games on the weekends. So subscribe. We're going to be talking Houston Rockets all year long. Jabari Smith Jr. did an interview on the Young Man in the Three, which used to be JJ's podcast, The Old Man in the Three. JJ's no longer on there as he's coaching the Lakers, but Jabari Smith Jr. was on there. Pretty interesting listen. Like Jabari a lot. I think he's going to have a strong breakout year for the Rockets. A couple of interesting things just to point out. He mentioned his welcome to the NBA moment going up against Giannis, which a lot of guys have those welcome to the NBA moments against guys more so average players, but obviously still NBA players, and it's those wake-up moments. They realize how good everyone in the NBA is. Everyone's a professional basketball player. But against Giannis, it's hard to hey, that's not a bad story at all. He mentioned Giannis going about 14 for 16 and just not being able to stop him at all. But one thing outside of the interesting story, he did mention that he believes that Amen Thompson is probably the most athletic player in the NBA. And him and Thompson, it's going to be really interesting this season to see them take that next step. Jabari, I think scoring-wise, obviously, Udoka's going to make sure everyone defends, but Thompson defensively, Jabari defensively, and also taking that step up offensively. I know we've talked about three-point shooting being a problem on this team, but I think that Jabari is someone, obviously in-house already, that can take that step, still young. Solid three-point shooter, but I think that he can get much, much better, especially with the addition of Kevin Durant. Now, as we roll along to the comments, a few different things I want to address. Kenneth Simpson asked, as we were talking about the history section, which we will get into today as well, but talking about Rick Barry, yes, Rick Barry finished his last 2 seasons with the Houston Rockets, and a lot of people don't know that, and that's one thing to get into. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't. Maybe I'd heard it, but I really didn't even know that until not too long ago either. A lot of things. We talked about the WNBA yesterday, and I really appreciate the comments about the WNBA to have a nice, honest conversation about it. Houston, Steven mentioned WNBA, hard pass. I know that we'd like to see it, but Six said mentioned WNBA needs to focus on smaller markets and go to a town that could use the entertainment, and I agree in a lot of ways. I mean, sometimes you wonder, cities leaving, just different random cities, not even necessarily NBA cities, that could support NBA teams. I mean, Philadelphia, Detroit, Cleveland got teams, and I was even thinking some other teams, places in that area that probably could have maybe got a WNBA team. I know, Toledo in between at Cleveland, Detroit, the place that supports women's college basketball really well. City not as much to do. May seem random, but Houston, I just think that there's just way too much to do. And I think it's really a fan base, just to be honest with you, if they're struggling for women's basketball, I really think that they're going to have to be at the top. Ron mentioned if a team that accomplished a four-peat in the first 4 seasons of the WNBA couldn't sustain, I say don't revisit. 12 seasons, only 2 losing seasons out of 12, 4 championships, first 4 years in existence. Couldn't sustain a team. Have times changed that much more? Is the hype for, obviously if you get an expansion team, you're probably going to go through some rough patches. We'll see when it gets revisited again. But, I mean, there's a team in Dallas. I don't know if Houston's the best fit. I agree. I mean, it'd be fun to see happen. But just realistically, emotion out of it, I don't know if Houston would be the best WNBA city. Now, is it a Big 3 city? Well, it'll be a Big 3 city this Saturday, as the Big 3 is coming to Houston over at the Toyota Center. You've got, if you go, you can go ahead and check out 4 different, actually it's going to be, looks like 3 different games. I'm looking at the schedule. I thought it was 4. No, it is, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is going to be 4 different games, ending with the Chicago Triplets in Miami 305, playing at 3 p.m. You've got the DMV Trilogy and the LA Riot. You've got the Houston Rig Hands taking on Dallas Power at 1 p.m. Central Time, and everything starts with Detroit taking on the Boston Ball Hogs at noon. All of that is going to be at the Toyota Center. Why are we talking Big 3? Well, you know, we have seen it. It doesn't happen a lot, but we have seen guys go from the Big 3 to the league before. And there's a lot of talent, former Rockets, if you do want to go ahead and check it out. Actually, I mean, the top 2 scorers in the Big 3 are former Houston Rockets. Now, the Big 3 to games only go up to 50 points. But Joe Johnson's leading the Big 3, plays for Detroit with 29.5 points per game. So that's going to be the first game, even if you want to check it out on TV or, if you go in person. You got Michael Beasley getting a lot of attention, 23 points per game, second in the league in scoring for the Big 3. So that's a couple things to go ahead and keep your eye on if you are interested in checking out the Big 3. Then you've got Dwight Howard, who is going into the Basketball Hall of Fame. I know that he's been, I know that he had been making a push for a long time trying to get back into the NBA. That hasn't happened. I do think that Dwight had a little bit more to give at the NBA level, but no longer in the NBA, but a strong career and going into the Hall of Fame and still competing in the Big 3. But Dwight Howard actually 10th in the Big 3 in scoring this season. And he's going to be playing in the game against the DMV Trilogy, which also has a former Rocket, Montrezl Harrell, who 6th Man of the Year not too long ago, and now in the Big 3. And that game is going to be tipping off at 2 p.m. Central Time in Houston, 3 p.m. Eastern. So, let me know if there's any interest in the Big 3. But whether, there's fun to watch some former Rockets and some guys who can still play basketball. Maybe, guys like Michael Beasley, who careers cut short for reasons even outside of basketball. Now, let's go ahead and get into, let me ask you something. We talk about what the Rockets need to do this season. We had a comment about the Rockets probably need to be a top 3, top 4 seed to reach the NBA Finals, because, how often does it happen when teams are seeded lower than that? And I'm going to ask you guys, has any team, probably the way I'm setting up the question, you may know, has any team ever made the NBA Finals with a losing regular season record? And if so, which team was that? It's happened one time in NBA history. One time in NBA history, there's been a team with a losing regular season record that went all the way to the NBA Finals, and that was your 1980-1981 Houston Rockets, who went 40-42. made the move that year. We talked about the Rockets in the Eastern Conference. Rockets were in the Western Conference this year. There were 12 teams in the West. 6 made the playoffs. Rockets were 6th, tied with Kansas City, who I got the 5th seed by tiebreaker, finished only 1 game ahead of Golden State, went to the playoffs, and faced the number 3 seed Los Angeles Lakers, the defending world champion Los Angeles Lakers. Magic Johnson was hurt a lot of that season, but he did come back. He did play in the postseason. If you ever check out that 30 for 30 with the Lakers Celtics, they talk about it. And the Houston Rockets pulled that first round upset. Now, at that time, the first round of the playoffs was best of 3. Rockets won both games on the road. They won the first game in Los Angeles, 111 to 107. Moses Malone led the way with 38 points and 23 rebounds. Came back to Houston, lost game 2, even though Moses Malone had 33 points and 15 rebounds. Went back on the road and won the deciding game 3, knocking off the Lakers to 89-86, 23 points, 15 boards for Moses Malone. In the next round, Rockets faced the San Antonio Spurs, won in 7 games. Rockets went 1-2 at home in that series, went 3-1 on the road, which included a Game 7, 105-100 win. Calvin Murphy led the way with 42 points in that game. Calvin also had 36 points in a Game 5 win. Moses Malone had a huge series as well, of course. Then Rockets went to the conference finals. Between the 2 lowest seeds in the postseason made the conference finals. In the West, Kansas City, they took on the Kansas City Kings and beat them in 5 games. Moses Malone led the Rockets in scoring in 4 out of those 5 games. 42 points and 23 boards for Moses in Game 4. 36 points and 11 boards in the deciding Game 5. And then the Rockets advanced to take on the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals and ended up losing in 6 games. But it was tied 2-2, down 2-1. The Rockets won Game 4 at home. Mike Dunleavy Sr., 28 points to lead the way in that Game 4. Moses Malone with 22 points. And the Rockets would lose the last 2 games pretty decisively, 109-80 in Game 5 at Boston, and then in Houston, 102-91. But with a 40-42 record, the Rockets remain the only team to ever, NBA history, have a losing regular season record and go to the NBA Finals. And were competitive, lost in 6 games to the Celtics, who had Larry Bird and Kevin McHale and a lot of great players. Moses Malone led the team that season, 27.8 points per game, 14.8 rebounds. Calvin Murphy, 16.7 points per game. Shot 95.8% from the free throw line, Calvin did. And a lot of people probably don't know. Number 10 all-time, Calvin Murphy is in free throw shooting percentage. And at that time, he was number 2 all-time. Rick Barry was number 1 all-time at that moment. And all the guys who are ahead of him on that list are more recent players, with Curry, Steph Curry being number 1 right now. But 95.8%. Calvin was always a great free throw shooter. Rick Barry came in, he got even a little bit better, even though Rick was no longer on the team. Rudy Tomjanovich, 11.6 points per game that season. And it really shows you why at the Toyota Center his name is up in the rafters with Jersey. We know of him as a coach, Hall of Fame coach, in the Basketball Hall of Fame as a coach, but also Rudy T, a strong player, laid that foundation, was on this team that got to the finals. Robert Reed on that team as well, 15.9 points per game, played all 82 games. Mentioned Mike Dunleavy Sr. for history-wise, somebody who was on that team, shot just under 84% from the line, 10.5 points per game. So, yeah, that was the Houston Rockets 1980-1981 season, one of the funner seasons to talk about for history, man. So, salute to that team and all the H-Town legends. Thanks so much for watching. This was Rockets Daily. Hope all you guys have a great weekend. Make sure to subscribe. That way you're notified every time we drop a video. Feel free to leave the comments, and be safe out there.